Thank you, darlings. I've always loved a good entrance.
The 1920s was the time of flappers, flamboyance, and the face of Alla Nazimova. This multimedia solo show tells the story of the most famous star you've never heard of and one of the most visionary artists of the 20th century. Hi, I'm Romy Nordlinger, actress and playwright of the critically acclaimed solo show Garden of Alla.
Oh, you don't know who I was. That there are stories beneath your every step. And an artist is only dead when the last person to remember them dies.
Why was her story stolen from her? Garden of Alla answers this question in an inspirational, life-affirming, and entertaining way. A rags to riches story about an underdog who beat all odds. When people leave the theater, they feel inspired and wonder why this remarkable story has not been told.
A vodka martini, 3 olives straight. The only thing straight in this setting. Do you believe that the dead are with us? Yes. Good start.
Nazimova comes back to set a story straight and direct the film of her own life.
Roll film.
No place to go, no shelter from the press. I was trotted out like a leper, vilified as a sexual deviant. The people, the papers, ready to tear me to shreds in a Dionysian frenzy. A femme fatale failure in a fishbowl full of sharks.
Set in the 1920s, the show is a sumptuous, immersive experience, like being in a live silent movie, accompanied by a beautiful original score and atmospheric video, a hybrid of theater and film. Alla Nazimova is the perfect MC to usher in audiences eager to return to theaters. The play can be performed anywhere you can point a projector. Video can be projected onto any sized screen or wall, even a black wall, making the image as large as a movie theater or intimate and small to fit your space. There is no set required. It's all programmed for you, so you can literally plug and play. This very malleable and easy to produce show has played a diverse range of venues, from the Kennedy Center to a cabaret space, a regular proscenium theater, a black box theater, a cocktail lounge, and can be played anywhere you can point a projector, a gallery, a museum, a school, a music venue, a cinema. The show can be an event. We recreated a 1920s speakeasy complete with pre-show, 20s jazz, and signature cocktails at New York's famous nightclub, The Cutting Room, ushering in the new roaring 20s, just as the 20s followed the pandemic of 1918. It's a Valentine to theater and a celebration of life and diversity. Her mansion on 8080 Sunset Boulevard, dubbed the Garden of Alla, hosted one of the wildest, seemingly never-ending parties of all time. A who's who of Hollywood's literati and glitterati, where the stars came out.
They called the girls Gillette blades because they cut both ways. That ridiculous story about the actress that answered her door wearing only a monkey on her head. Complete hogwash, I can completely assure you. It was a mongoose.
It was easier to say who didn't check in than who did. F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ernest Hemingway, Greta Garbo, Chaplin, Valentino, Marlene Dietrich, Dorothy Parker, Fanny Bryce, Bogart and Bacall, Ava Gardner, Clara Bow, Orson Welles, Errol Flynn, Rachmaninoff, Cole Porter, Stravinsky.
F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote himself a postcard to remind himself of where he had been while lost in the Garden of Alla. Dear Scott, how are you? I've been meaning to come in and see you. I've been staying at the Garden of Alla. Yours, Scott.
Escaping an abusive father shuttled from foster home to home, she made her way on the streets, finally studying under Stanislavski at the Moscow Arts Theater.
Cut!
Bayou, bayushki, bayou, ne loges ya na kraju. And I often wonder if the audiences who envy us know that we throw ourselves into our art to forget. Then the harder we work, the more we can forget.
A Jewish immigrant fleeing Tsarist Russia to New York's Lower East Side, she made her name in Yiddish theater. She went on to become one of the most famous actresses in Jewish history.
Hey, hey, hey! My little Sarah Bernardotska, huh? Ah, you're pretty spanking with the razzle-dazzle. And you sure as heck got a corker of a brain to boot. What do you say I give you a Broadway contract if you can learn English in 1 year? Was that a trick question?
Extra, extra, read all about it. That little Russian with a lot of moxie, Alla Nazimova.
Nazimova rose to meteoric heights, a Broadway theater named after her, the highest paid film actress in Hollywood, and with her own production company, was one of the first female directors and producers in Hollywood. Openly gay in the 1920s, one of the most powerful and influential people in Broadway and Hollywood, she broke the glass ceiling, challenging the boys' club and defying the moral and artistic codes of her time. Why don't we know about her meteoric success? She was written out of the history books.
Where my Sunday all-women sewing circle was born. I know what you're thinking, darlings, and you're absolutely right. We never sewed a stitch. Although I dare say any of us was wearing a stitch. The sewing circles, darling, look it up. Well, we did have fun then, the kind of fun that is legendary. This is Heidi Hepper reporting to you with news about that randy Russian, Alla Nazimova, who converted her West Hollywood mansion, her Garden of Alla, into a playground for the rich, famous, and sexually depraved, including a rumored affair with Valentino's wife. Or wives.
You need to rest those beautiful legs of yours and keep them closed. The studio said that I demanded too much, that it was too wild. Depraved, they called it. So I cast a few men in skirts, and suddenly it's an all homosexual cast. Pearls before swines. Well, if you don't try anything, then you will never fail, will you? My greatest work, it failed spectacularly.
She lost everything. Her fortune, her Garden of Alla, relegated to living as a guest in her own mansion, still triumphant, still defiant, with her unwavering belief in life and joy and herself, she returned to the stage.
As Madame Ravenskaya, the bankrupt homeowner. Typecasting, darlings. Oh, how I love this house. I could not understand my life without my cherry orchard, and if you must sell it, then sell me with it. Life is what you make of it. If you don't bend, you will break. My moments of solitude to write and reflect, watching, always watching. As long as your mind is alive, darlings, they can't take a damned thing away from you. It's all in here, the wonder, the horror, and gorgeousness of just being alive.
The muse to some of the greatest playwrights, Eugene O'Neill, Noel Coward, she even inspired Tennessee Williams to become a playwright.
Oh, how life mirrors art, or art mirrors life. There was a big party when they auctioned off everything. If you could call it a party. The crowning centerpiece, my masterpiece, my Salome, hoisted high over the pool like a prized head on a spike.
Now before they raise this crazy house ground.
Her Salome is acknowledged as the first art film and a landmark gay film in cinematic history. Her life and art helped pave the way for the LGBTQ movement.
Listen closely, and you will hear the dead people talk. F. Scott Fitzgerald, Dorothy Parker, Ernest Hemingway, Greta Garbo, Rudolph Valentino, Alla Nazimova. I have loved you and America as only an immigrant can. From Russia to Broadway to the many broads I've loved, it's all the same. It's not in the acclaim. It's in you, only you. My heart, it may have been born deep in a dark shadow, but sharing it with you is the all. It is the everything.
Her story shows us that we can make beautiful things in dark times and holds a light to lead the way in celebration of diversity. Nazimova's story is a very timely piece, speaking to our time, illuminating where we are now. I'm also a theater teaching artist with 16 years experience teaching in New York City. The show can be an interactive educational tool with workshops exploring diversity, Jewish identity, women's studies, LGBTQ history, and theater and film history. I've successfully implemented talkbacks and in-character interviews with film and theater historians. Sexism, racism, homophobia, ageism, Nazimova was fighting these contemporary struggles back in the 19th and 20th centuries, but alone and without a Twitter account. And yet her story remains unsung. It's time to take back our collective heritage and honor this icon and iconoclast who speaks to our times like no one else can.